Hey, welcome back, friends. Today we are out in our urban apiary getting ready to do a round of hive inspections. It's been a full 2 weeks since we were last in the hives, so we're excited to get in there. We've seen good activity all week long. We've had really good temperatures and weather. It's a little overcast today, so hopefully the bees won't be too cranky. When we were in 2 weeks ago, we established that everybody was queen right. We saw eggs and larvae in some capped brood. We also assessed for stores and did a few brood box reversals. And so today's goal is just basic inspections. What we're really hoping to see is that brood really expanding, the brood nest expanding, indicating that, we're going to be having some good explosions of bees in the coming weeks, getting ready for the main nectar flow. We're prepared to add boxes if necessary to give the queen space. And we're probably estimating within the next 2 weeks, potentially doing some splits. So we're hoping to not see any queen cells today. I don't think we will, but you never know. So with that, we're going to take you along for at least one of the inspections. After that, we'll kind of just put the camera up and let you watch along. And if we find anything interesting or cool, we'll kind of bring you into that. But that's the plan for today. So let's get back to work.
All right, let's go.
Now this is one of our smaller hives. So we'll get a gauge on how they're looking. This top box is empty. It's just to have sugar in. They are definitely on the sugar. I give them a little bit of smoke to move them off of the inner cover. It looks like they're drawing some comb in between the top of the frames and the inner cover, so I'll show you that here in a second. Kind of got to mess with this sugar. We usually do sugar shims, which is a lot more, I think, efficient way to give them supplemental food. This year we were just putting blocks of sugar on, and it's a little messy, so maybe not in the future.
Yeah, I wouldn't do this again.
I'm going to take this and just gently set them back down here. Alright. Gonna remove, we use these Swiffer pads that we cut in strips for catching beetles. They work pretty good. So here's what I'm seeing. We have a pretty good brood nest here. When this hive was younger, or earlier on, the nest was smaller and condensed in this front section here. I can see now that we have bees extending from front to back on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I would say a good 7 frames. This end frame here is pretty empty looking. So I would say they're a good candidate to probably go ahead and add another box on today to give the bees and the queen more space. But let's go ahead and start pulling some frames. I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup here on the top bars before I get started.
A queen cup.
All right, so off the bat, I am seeing capped brood. I'm seeing some larvae. I see, the pollen and some nectar on the edges. I'm gonna take a little closer look here. Yeah, we definitely have some larvae, older larvae here. I see some smaller larvae. We also have a little cup I'm going to just take a quick peek inside of just to make sure we don't have an egg. And it looks to be empty. If I can get the girls, yeah, I think we're good on that one. Lots of pretty pollen in the pollen sacs there of the bees, a nice bright orange.
What you see, that lighter colored, those capped cells, that's capped brood, and there's actually one there. You might not be able to see it. Looks like the bee is working on emerging right now.
All right, take another peek at the other side. There's a pretty good cluster, little ball of bees here. I'm just giving them a little bit of a gentle breath to move them around a little bit. We kind of have a small brood patch here in the middle. Capped brood. The lighting right now is very difficult for spotting eggs. But this is the second frame in on the end that I started with. And I do see eggs. So I do see some eggs in our cells here on the edge of the cap brood. I am seeing eggs. Not sure if we'll pick that up on camera, but I do see eggs, so that's good.
That's important because it lets us know that the queen is in here, or at least she was in here within the past 2 or 3 days. So we can assume that the hive is queen right. We don't need to go looking for her specifically. If there are eggs, she's around.
So I'm just dropping them into that empty box that I took off. And the reason why I'm doing that is just to keep them safe while I go ahead and keep working in this hive. I didn't see the queen on there, but I also wasn't necessarily studying the frame for her. All right, this is our end frame, so I'd expect to see resources, and I do. I see some shiny, fresh nectar here on the edge, a little bit of capped honey here on this end, and in the middle we have pollen. And if I take it to the other side, just mostly some capped honey from last season. And you can tell by the darkness of the cappings.
When they first cap the honey, it's a very, very light, almost white wax. And then over time, just from the bees walking across it and age, it darkens up.
So I'm gonna go ahead and move to this next frame. Now that these bees are being very gentle, I'm not getting hit in the veil or harassed. I'm scanning for the queen, I don't see her. Again, we have a patch of brood in the middle, capped. I see eggs on the edges. And I see some larvae in the empty cells within the capped brood. Flipping over and looking, I see lots of eggs on the edges. Capped brood, the bees are covering. Don't see her, but again, like Christina said, I'm not really worried about that. I'm not that focused on putting my eyes on her. I know there's a queen in here. I see eggs, so I'm not too concerned. I'm gonna keep moving along the frames here. We have a pretty good frame of capped brood. I see a few cells of drone brood. So you can tell the drone brood, those are those bigger ones that kind of stick out further compared to the other worker brood. Just a few. Mostly capped brood, some older larvae. Turning it over to the back. Again, pretty solid frame of capped brood with pollen on the edges and nectar on the very ends. No cups, no queen cups so far.
And if we were to find a queen cup that had an egg in it, that would be a sign that the hive is getting ready to swarm, where the original queen would leave with a portion of the hive and go find someplace else to live. That is something we want to prevent.
Next frame. Similar situation, I've got fresh nectar on the ends. I have capped brood. I see larvae. Nice frame of capped brood. I'm just looking quickly for eggs on the edges. I do believe I see some eggs on the edges. So this queen is definitely brooding up, which is very good to see. This was a smaller colony going into winter, coming out of winter, obviously. So it's nice to see her ramping up her production. And this is definitely a hive that when we're done, we'll come back today and add more space for her, a frame of drawn comb. Here we have another frame of capped brood. I see some older larvae. There's our queen. You can play the spot the queen game. Her white marking is almost gone. You can see maybe just a little rim of it, but she's in there. She's doing great. I'm seeing everything that I want to see, so I'm going to very gently, she's in the middle of the frame, put her back. And I am going to just pull one more frame, really just out of due diligence. I have not seen any signs that these girls are preparing to swarm, but I am going to pull this second to last frame. She has what appears to be an empty frame. I'm going to try to see if I see eggs. The lighting right now out here is not in our favor. I don't think I see eggs, and I see some fresh nectar. So the shiny substance that you may be picking up is nectar. So overall, this hive I am very happy with. We have a single box on them. They are filled out to about 7 of the 8 frames. We know that we put eyes on our queen. We know she's laying. We know she's got a lot of cat brood, eggs, and larvae. So she'll be, this brood nest will be exploding in a few weeks. So the best thing that we can do for this hive going forward is to go ahead and give them space. If we did not, this would be a different story. We'd come back in a week or so, and they would definitely be, probably at my guess, preparing to swarm, because they would run out of space here quite quickly. If Christina looks in, we have some bridging going on. You see the bees bridging across, trying to hang on. I'll give them a little smoke before I toss in their frame here that I took out. Try to get them to move back down. I'm going to go ahead and grab this frame that I put into our quiet box and get them reassembled here. Being as gentle as possible to not kill as least amount of bees as possible. We have a little bit of comb on the bottom of this. I'm not going to scrape it just yet because of the sugar that's floating around the top. We are going to go ahead and keep this on here for now. They were on it when we first came in. And like I said, the plan for this hive is once we get through the rest of the inspections, this one will drop another box of drawn comb on, and it'll give the queen immediate space to come up and lay. And it'll give more space for this colony to expand and hopefully ward off any early swarming tendencies. So I'm going to go ahead, grab their lid, get them closed up for now, and this is hive number 7. We'll come back here and go ahead and put another box on them, and I'll remember to put their strip on, although I did not see many beetles in that hive, which is good. We tend to see beetles a lot more later in the season. So with that, we're going to get you set up here on the tripod, do a little time lapse. This will be the same process that we repeat down the line, and if we run into anything interesting, we'll stop in and give you a closer look at. All right, friends, that's going to be a wrap for today's inspections of the hives. Kind of a mixed bag today. We have some that are in really good shape and some not so much. So starting here with this green hive on the end, they're doing great. We've got brood across the 3 bottom boxes. They're definitely bringing in nectar, plenty of pollen, plenty of bees. So we're doing a little bit of an experiment. It wasn't until a week and one more week last year from now is when we put our first honey supers on. With this particular hive, given what they've got going on, we did see the queen, their queen right. We went ahead and put an excluder on in our first honey super. Now, the honey super has 7 frames of drawn comb from last year's honey frames. So they're frames that we collected honey in last year, spun them, froze them, and then kept them in airtight bins for the winter, and now we're putting them back in. So kind of an experiment. We're a little earlier than we haven't been in past years for putting a super on, but we're going to give it a shot, see what happens. The next hive here, the pink hive, disappointing, to be honest with you, pretty disappointing. They're queen right. We saw some eggs. There's just not a lot of brood, especially when you have the other hives to compare it against. So we're going to keep a close eye on her. If we need to replace her, we will in the coming weeks. But I would definitely say the pink hive, pretty disappointing. The purple hive next to it, also disappointing. Again, we saw the queen. I would say purple is a little bit better shape than pink. A little bit more, I think 5 or 6 frames of brood in various stages across the 2 boxes, which compared to the other hives is not very much. Maybe maybe the genetics of these 2 hives are just bees that take longer to ramp up. That could be the case. But we're going to keep a very close eye on these queens and their production over the course of the next few weeks, and we'll be in a better position to make a determination on if we need to take some corrective actions or if they just happen to be taking a little longer to get ramped up. Continuing to move down the stand here, the white hive next to purple, doing great. 2 nice boxes of brood, plenty of bees in each box, to the point that I went ahead and added another box of drawn comb to them to give that queen more space and to hopefully mitigate against early swarming. Again, the N2 hives here, same story as the number 6 hive there next to purple. Absolutely fantastic condition. Those were single brood chambers before today, and we were wall-to-wall bees, packed full of brood, saw the queens, saw eggs, and quite frankly, she needed more space. Now, we saw no signs of swarming tendency, no cups, no nothing that worries me at this point. I think we're ahead of the game here on these. So I went ahead and put boxes on each of those with drawn comb, drawn brood comb, for those queens to be able to move up when they're ready and continue to expand that nest. Gives the bees a place to put their nectar and the pollen that they bring in. It gives the queen space to move up and lay. So all in all, good. No swarm signs or preparation for swarm size out of any of these. I think had we not got to the 3 end hives here and then this green hive this weekend, that might have been a different story come another 7-10 days from now. I think we might have been looking at some queen cells going in, but I think we're on top of it. Unfortunately, the weather for the week looks okay. Next weekend, the long extended forecast doesn't look that great. Looks like the temperatures are going back down into the 50s, so maybe some rain, but that's pretty far off, so we'll see. But yeah, all in all, friends, that's kind of how it goes with beekeeping. Not bad, not great. We've got 3 hives that look like they're building awesome. We got this 4th green hive doing gangbusters, already putting a super on to try and honey super on to see what happens. But then we have these 2 guys in the middle here, pink and purple, that they're not doing a whole lot yet. Again, we'll give the queen some time. We'll monitor closely her brood development. We know there's queens in there. We definitely put eyes on purple. I don't know if we ever saw pink or not. We saw eggs, so optimistic there was a queen in there. But we'll just have to see over the course of the next week or 2 when we do our inspections. I don't think anybody's ready to be split. At all. Maybe an argument could be made for green in a week or 2, and maybe that will still happen. The 3 on the end here are still building up, and they've got room to go and expand. So I definitely don't think we're going to be looking at any early splits this year. I just don't think that they're ready for that. Like I said, maybe green, but the other ones, I think it's going to be some time till we would be in a position to need to do any kind of splits. So that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed the hive inspection today, and we'll be back real soon with another video, and I hope everybody's well, and we'll talk to you real soon. Take care.